like to offer my apologies for being late. The traffic was quite bad, but as you all know, those who are waiting for the Salāt, as the Prophet has told us, are actually in the state of Salāt. So your waiting wasn't in vain. Inshallah, you guys are all being rewarded for your waiting and for your patience. So may Allah bless you all. And my apologies. And as you know, this is the last, most likely the last Jumu'ah of this blessed month of Ramadan. SubhanAllah, this month is slipping our fingers very fast. And as in any race, or as any race that any endeavor, any effort, is that we should strive hard in this final lap of Ramadan. And everything that we do has a seal, a khatam. Is that every act that we have, is that there's a khatam, there's an ending, there's a seal to that act. And that we ask Allah that He gives us a husna, a beautiful, a good ending, a good closure to this Ramadan, to this blessed month. Just like how we ask Allah that He gives us a good seal or a good ending, a good closure to our lives. That we die and we say shahada before we die. And I just want to briefly, I won't go over time inshallah, I just want to briefly talk about three aspects about the Prophet ﷺ's Ramadan. So when we think about how the Prophet ﷺ experienced Ramadan, what comes to mind? What was the main concern or the main focus of the Prophet's Ramadan? And I'm sure there's a lot of things that can come to mind. There's a lot of aspects of the Prophet ﷺ, especially in Ramadan, but there's three particular qualities or attributes or actions that I want to focus on with regards to the Prophet's Ramadan. Is that first, for the Prophet, his Ramadan was a month of Quran, generosity, and striving hard in the last 10 nights. So as for Quran, we know that Ramadan is the month of Quran, and we know that Jibreel, for example, used to come to the Prophet ﷺ every night and revise the Quran with him. And that we know this, and that we in Ramadan in general, we make an effort to read more Quran, but then we tend to think of Ramadan as a month of worship, and a month of piety, and a month of prayer, but Ramadan is also a month of charity. And it's mentioned in a beautiful hadith that the Prophet ﷺ is that he was the most generous of people at all times. However, his wife Aisha said he reached the peak of generosity in the month of Ramadan. And that she said that his generosity was such that he was more generous than a strong, free-blowing wind. And you can think about the image here, is that in the desert where it was hot and the climate was quite hostile, it was quite hot and it wasn't very comfortable, is that when a wind came, is that brought forth rain, and that rain brought forth all types of vegetation and all types of blessings. Is that's the example that the Prophet ﷺ, he's like that wind that brings forth all the mercy and all the rain. And when you think about the Prophet ﷺ's generosity, is that if this is his generosity in Ramadan, you have to look at his generosity outside of Ramadan to get an understanding of how generous the Prophet ﷺ was. So there's a beautiful incident where a man came to the Prophet ﷺ and the Prophet gave him a valley full of a flock of goats. Just like that. He gave him a whole valley of a flock of goats, which in our times would be a lot of money. And that this man was so amazed to receive this just like that, is that he went back to his people. He wasn't Muslim. And he said, "Oh my people, embrace Islam, because indeed Muhammad, he gives like the person who gives who has no fear of poverty whatsoever." And that they mentioned that the Prophet ﷺ is that when he was asked for anything, he would never say no. Right? So that was his state outside of Ramadan. What about his state inside of Ramadan? And that's why Ramadan is a month of charity, and a month of giving, and a month of zakat. And if you look at the word in Arabic for sadaqah, for charity, it's a very beautiful word. Right? It's related to the word sadaqah, which means to tell the truth. Right? If you say sadaqah, we say sadaqallahu al-azim after reading Quran, Allah has indeed spoken the truth. So sadaqah is truthfulness, and sadaqah is charity. So what's the relationship between truthfulness and charity? Right? And that relationship is that when people are giving charity, is that they're being true to their faith, and they're showing their beliefs, and they're being true to their beliefs. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ said, "Sadaqatul burhan," is that sadaqah is a proof for you. In other words, it's a proof that you value these values, and it's a proof of your faith. And that's why there's a saying that they say, "Al-infaq," right? Al-iman bila infaq, nifaq. Is that faith without spending is closer to hypocrisy. Because anybody can make claims, but once you give out something that you love and you sacrifice, is that that's a statement, that's a proof for you. And even if you look at the word zakat, is that these are beautiful words. Is that zakat comes from purification, right? Tazkiyah is purification. So in other words, when you pay your zakat, is that you're purifying yourself from the greed that a lot of us have in our hearts, that we're very clingy, we hold tight to our wealth and our money. And we're also purifying our money, because it might be that, you know, throughout the year we accumulated some haram money, and it's kind of like cupping. If you're familiar with cupping, is that they'll cup and they'll take out the bad blood. If you've ever seen it, it actually looks dark red and black and looks really bad. And the concept of zakat is that we all have money that's bad money, right? There might have been haram interactions or things that we shouldn't have done, and that zakat purifies our wealth. It purifies our soul, and it purifies our wealth, and that's in the word zakat itself. And then also the word zakat has another meaning of the increase of something. Right? The Arabs nama means the increase of something. And again, the idea here is that when we give zakat, is that we increase in our wealth as well. We increase in blessings. We increase in all good. Right? So these are beautiful words. Think about the word sadaqah, charity, and the word zakat. And in Islam, it's very beautiful that sadaqah, charity, is not limited to spending. Right? That's very beautiful. The Prophet said, just smiling in the face of your brother is a form of charity. Giving out whatever you're giving is a form of charity. But of course, a main form of charity is spending our wealth. In good causes. And there's beautiful hadith, if you look at them, is that the Prophet said, مَا نَقَصَتْ صَدَقَةٌ مِنْ مَالٍ. Is that basically no one's ever gone poor by giving charity. You'll never find you're not going to find anyone who's been in poverty because he gave in charity. Right? Actually, the opposite is true, is that when you give in charity, Imam Ali radiallahu anhu, he says that if you're ever in a hard time, and you're in poverty and and you're in a hard pressing situation, is that trade with Allah in charity. Right? So the example is that you're trading with Allah, you're giving Allah charity, like a business, and then He'll give you something back. Trade with Allah in charity, which is counterintuitive, because when we think that we're in hard times, we have to save our money. And of course, that's not negating that, but He's giving you a different solution, is that trade with Allah by giving charity, and Allah will give you back more, because no one trades with Allah and is a loser. And then the Prophet said, Allah says, قال Allah, أنفق يا ابن آدم, أنفق عليك. Is that spend, O son of Adam, and Allah is saying, I will spend on you. And in another beautiful hadith, it's a beautiful hadith, the Prophet said that no one spends the likes of a date. Someone gives charity a date, right? Less than $1 or something, a few cents. From his halal good income, except that Allah, and then Allah accepts it with His right hand, right? In other words, He appreciates it. ثُمَّ يُرَبِّيهَا لِصَاحِبِهِ, and then Allah invests in it. Allah increases it. كَمَا يُرَبِّي أَحَدُكُمْ فَلَوَّةً, is that just like how one of you in those days, that they would raise their livestock. They'd raise their horses, they'd feed it, it'd grow bigger and bigger, they'd use it. And then this hadith says, حَتَّى يَكُنْ مِثْلُ الْجَبَلِ, until the point where he comes on the Day of Judgment, and from that $1, from that one day, from that few cents, is that he finds that that's a mountain on the Day of Judgment. Right? And then another beautiful hadith is that the Prophet said that every day, when the day rises, there's two angels that come down from heavens. And one of them says, Allahumma a'ti munfika khalafa. Allah, give the one who spends, give him an increase. And then the other one says, Allahumma a'ti mumsika talafa. And that the one who's miserly and refrains from spending, Allah, give him what he deserves. And another beautiful hadith, just to quote this hadith, as-sawm junnah. Is that fasting is protection. It's a protection from a lot of things. It protects our eyes, it protects us from arguing, it protects us from fighting, it protects us, it's a protection in general. And more specifically, it's a protection from the wrath and the punishment of Allah. Right? From the hellfire. وَصَدَقَةٌ تُطْفِئُ الْخَطِيئَةَ كَمَا يُطْفِئُ الْمَاءَ النَّارِ. And that sadaqah cancels out sins and wrong actions, just like water cancels out fire. Another beautiful hadith, وَكُلُّ امْرِئٍ فِي ظِلِّ صَدَقَةٍ حَتَّى يَقْضِيَ بَيْنَ النَّاسِ, is that everybody is in the shade of their charity until the day of judgment, until the matter is settled, until people go to paradise and people go to hellfire. So then the question comes, if we're encouraged, highly encouraged to give sadaqah, is that where should we give our sadaqah? where should the sadaqah go? And first and foremost, sadaqah starts at home. We start with our family. And whenever we buy groceries or whenever we buy something for our family, we should make this intention. If you make the intention that whatever you buy for your family is sadaqah and is supporting your family, you will get rewarded for that. And that's why people who go to work, that's not from dunya, it's not dunya to work. If you have that intention to support your family and to provide for them, is that that's actually from the actions of the akhirah. So sadaqah, charity starts at home. Right? And then, and that's why Allah says, they ask you about charity, put it off. Your extra money, which you have after that, your essentials. And then another important avenue of sadaqah is those who are in pressing needs. Those people who, if they really need something, they're in a pressing, hard situation, is that these are the people who deserve our sadaqah, and there's extra reward for that. And that's one of the reasons why there's zakat al-fitr, is that on the day of Eid, is a day of Eid celebration. And you know, you don't want people to be in a situation where they don't have anything to celebrate with. And that's why it's encouraged to give the zakat and fitr before, so that they can be prepared and they can celebrate that Eid without having to worry about financial difficulties, at least for that day. And then the third avenue of sadaqah that's really important is giving sadaqah that's sadaqah jariyah, is that a continuous sadaqah. So there's certain sadaqahs, there's certain charity that you give that continues for you as you live, and even as you die. That's beautiful. Sadaqah jariyah. Jariyah means flowing. So it flows. Even after you die, is that there's sadaqah jariyah. So for example, supporting institutes of knowledge. For example, supporting students of knowledge. All these are sadaqah jariyah. And these are immense stores of goodness. And you know, sometimes, especially in Ramadan, there's a lot of campaigns to give charity. You'll see different give charity here, give charity there. And we shouldn't take that as negative. We shouldn't say, oh, why are they always asking for money? Is that we should change our perspective. And we should say that these are opportunities for us to benefit. Because even if, for example, it wasn't a valid cause, maybe there wasn't something wrong, maybe it wasn't a valid cause. By you making that intention and giving out your wealth, it doesn't matter. Is that Allah will reward you, right, for that act and for that intention. So we give according to our means, but we're encouraged to give, and we should be giving. And Ramadan is the month of charity. And as you just heard, that this month is asking you guys, and this masjid is asking you guys for wealth. It's asking you guys to contribute. And it's an opportunity for us. That what do we get when we build what do we get when we contribute to building a masjid? And this is from a lot of the masjids that I've been to, I have a lot of good things to say about this masjid. MashaAllah, people convert in this masjid very often. MashaAllah, there's people, non-Muslims are always coming to this masjid and taking benefit. There's a lot of outreach. You know, something that really impressed me, one of the non-Muslims and Christian brothers that came, is that when he heard a speech, he actually said that he's going to go back to his church and start fundraising for this masjid. Right? Non-Muslim, and he's saying that I'm going to go back and I'm going to raise funds for this masjid. So if that's, you know, that should be a lesson, that should be an eye-opener for us, is that we should contribute. So when someone gives to a masjid, first of all, it's a continuous charity, right? This place, even after we pass on, inshallah, there will be people coming, our children, our grandchildren, and we'll have a reward for that. Every person who prays in this masjid, if we're a helper, if we're contributing, is that we'll have a reward for everyone who prays, everyone who makes wudu, every benefit that someone takes from this masjid, if we contributed in it, is that we'll have a reward for that. And that we'll be contributing to a place where Allah is remembered and glorified. And that's something as amazing if you think about it, is that how many places on this face of earth where people are forgetting Allah? People don't have any concern about God whatsoever. As that the fact that we're contributing to a place where people remember Allah, people remember the message, people remember Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is that that's a great thing. And it's a place of guidance, it's a place for next generation, a place of knowledge, it's a place of community, brotherhood and sisterhood, and most importantly, is that the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man bana masjidan lillah, bana Allahu lahu fi baytil jannah mithlahu." Is that whoever builds a masjid for the sake of Allah, Allah will build for him in Jannah, in paradise, a house that's similar to it. So that's with regards to the Prophet ﷺ's Ramadan, that's the three things that come to mind when I think about the Prophet's Ramadan. Is that this was a Ramadan, is that the Prophet ﷺ focused and stressed the Quran. It wasn't just a month of worshipping and praying, but it was also a month of charity. And as we mentioned in the hadith, is that the Prophet ﷺ was the most generous of people. But in the month of Ramadan, he was more generous than anything, more than we could imagine. And then the third point is that the Prophet ﷺ used to strive very hard in the last 10 days of Ramadan. So I'm going to touch upon that in the second khutbah, inshallah, time permitting. والله عز وجل يقول وبقول يهدي للمهتدين جل في علا وإذا قرأ القرآن فاستمعوا له وأنصتوا لعلكم ترحمون وقال عز من قائل الكريم فإذا قرأت القرآن فاستعذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله العظيم الكريم لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. Is that, as you all know, one of the wisdoms of Allah Most High is that He's hidden certain things, and there's a wisdom in Him hiding those things. So, for example, He has hidden His pleasure in acts of obedience, in good deeds. And you don't know what it could be. There's a hadith that there was an immoral lady, and she gave water to a dog, and that she saw a dog by a well that was panting, that was in thirst, and she took off her slipper, and she got water from that well, and she gave it to the dog, and Allah forgave her for that small act. Right? There's one scholar, they mentioned that Imam Ghazali, one of the greatest scholars of Islam, with all his works, with all his books, they mentioned one time he was seen after death, and they said that, what did Allah do to you? And he said, Allah forgave me. And he said, why? He said, because one time I was writing a book, and there was a fly that came and landed on the ink and started to drink the ink. And instead of shooing the fly away, I let the fly drink the ink, and Allah forgave me for that act. So Allah has hidden His pleasure in good deeds. It might be that act of sadaqah, it might be that one night in Tarawih, it might be reading Quran, it might be in secret, it might be anything. You might cry in the middle of the night out of fear of Allah, and that can be the deed that forgives you and enters you into paradise. Likewise, He's hidden His displeasure in wrong actions. And that's why we should never belittle wrong actions. Because you don't know, you might think, oh, this is nothing, but that can be the wrong action that, na'udhu billah, destroys you. But Allah is merciful, but we have to be careful. And He's hidden His awliya, His friends, His saints, amongst His servants. So you don't know, you might be praying to someone whose heart is alive. You might be praying next to someone whose heart is alive. You might be praying next to someone who has a very deep personal connection with Allah. And he's one of the awliya. And then Allah has hidden a very, very special night that we know is that the night of Qadr from amongst the nights of Ramadan, specifically the last 10 nights. And one of the wisdoms that Allah has hidden this night from us is that we don't say, oh, okay, it's on the 27th. Is that, okay, I won't pray and I'll just come on the 27th. And no, it's hidden. It's not necessarily on the 27th. The Prophet said, seek the Laylatul Qadr on the last 10 nights. And the Laylatul Qadr generally is translated as night of power. I don't know if that's the best translation per se. Qadr has different meanings. It's a very large word in Arabic. But one of its meanings is value. Right? It's the night of value, or it's the night of measure, because as we know that any acts done in this night, whether it's charity, whether it's praying, fasting, dua, is that that's better than 1,000 months. And you know, you hear sometimes people say that it's equivalent to 83 years and some months. It's not equivalent to 80. It's not equivalent to that. The Quran doesn't say that it's equal to 1,000 months. It's better than 1,000 months. That means we don't know how great it is. It's not 83 years and some months. It's better than that. It's better than 1,000 months. And that the Prophet ﷺ in this hadith is that the Prophet, the background behind Laylatul Qadr about this blessed month is that the Prophet was shown the lifespans of previous nations. And he saw that a lot of the previous nations, the ancient nations, is that their lifespans were very long. So we know that Nuh, for example, Noah, he gave da'wah, he was calling to Allah for some 950 years. Right? They had very long lifespans in historic times. And when he told the companions this, and this shows you about the companions, is that they actually got sad because not because they wanted to live long to acquire dunya, but they said that they had so much opportunity. They had 100 years, 900 years to worship Allah, and here we are. We only have max 120 years. So they got sad, and they said, "Where's our opportunity to increase in good, not to amass dunya, but to increase in good?" And when the Prophet ﷺ heard this, is that Allah revealed the verse of Laylatul Qadr, is that whoever worships in this blessed night, is that if they do this consistently year after year, is that their worship will amount to more than thousands of years. And that this is the mercy of Allah. And that this shows you the mercy of Allah is that you just do something very simple. Stay up a little bit longer, make a little bit dua, give a little sadaqah, a little salat, and Allah will give you immense reward. And I'll just end with one of the Aisha, the wife of the Prophet ﷺ. And this also shows you the attitude is that they were seeking good. And we have to be seekers of good. Is that she asked, O Prophet of Allah, if I find that I'm in Laylatul Qadr, this night of value, what should I say? What should I do? And it's amazing that the Prophet ﷺ, he said, say this dua, Allahumma innaka afuun kareem tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anna. Just that dua. He didn't say, say a dua that's very long and comprehensive. Well, this is comprehensive, but he didn't say do this extended dua. Just few words. Allahumma innaka afuun, Allah, you are pardoning and generous. You love to pardon. So pardon me. And that there's a secret in that is that we ask Allah not by our value, not by our little actions, not by ourselves, but we ask Allah by His attributes. And that Allah loves to pardon, and that He will pardon us. And these are some of the things that we can do for Laylatul Qadr, is that the minimum is that we should pray Isha and Fajr in congregation. Is that whoever prayed Fajr and Isha in congregation, they have a portion of that Laylatul Qadr. And then whoever does more, is that's great. And the more blessing, the more khair, the more good. And these are ultimately what this shows us. What this shows us is that Allah wants good for us. And that Allah wants us to benefit. And that Allah is merciful. And that we just have to do our little part. And Allah will take care of everything else. Is that these are just opportunities. Ramadan is just an opportunity. Laylatul Qadr is just an opportunity. Because Allah wants us to draw nearer to Him. Allah wants to forgive us. And we just have to do our part. Step forward and expose ourselves to the grace and the gifts of Allah. May Allah give us tawfiq. May Allah accept from us. May Allah accept this Ramadan. May Allah make this Ramadan the best Ramadans for us. May Allah let us see the fruits and the benefits of this Ramadan. May Allah bless this masjid and bless the people who pray in it and who support it. May Allah make this masjid successful and let it reach its goals and let it be a center, not just a center, but a center of guidance. And a center for our children, and a center where people come and they learn and they have knowledge and they're enlightened, right? The Prophet said one of the signs of the end of times is that there will be many masjids, but guidance in those masjids will be few. Is that people pray autopilot, but the khushu' and the khudu' is that's the spirit of the prayer, and that's the spirit of Islam. And may Allah make this place a place where we can actualize that and benefit completely. وَاعْلَمُوا يَا عِبَادَ اللَّهِ أَنَّ اللَّهَ أَمَرَ بِأَمْرٍ بَدَأَ فِيهِ بِنَفْسِهِ فقال عز وجل إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد عبدك ورسولك النبي الأمي وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على سيدنا محمد عبدك ورسولك النبي الأمي وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد اللهم اعز الإسلام وانصر المسلمين اللهم اعز الإسلام وانصر المسلمين اللهم اعز الإسلام وانصر المسلمين اللهم كن لإخواننا المسلمين في مشارق الأرض ومغاربها اللهم اغفر لنا وللمسلمين والمسلمات المؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات مغفرة ظاهرة باطنة سرا وعلانية لا تغادر لنا ذنبا ولا نكتسب بعدها خطيئة ولا إثما إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون اذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم واشكروه على نعمه يزدكم ولذكر الله أكبر